am a mother of 3 children first and foremost, before anything else, which takes up a lot of space, and I am a cacao facilitator. When I returned home from Australia with my 2 babies in 2015, we came home with like a dream, but when we got here we were met with like soaring rent prices and just a different world to what we imagined. So it was a really like rough period first, and I was just really into like feeding my kids really good food. And I had this vision of myself pouring chocolate. It was almost like a dream state, but it wasn't quite a dream. Later on that year, I went to Australia by myself for an event. A woman spoke on stage about cacao and how it came to her when she was like homeless, and it was like something in me was like, oh my God, she's speaking exactly what had happened for me. And then when I came home to Ireland after that trip, I went to my first ceremony and learned a little bit about Keith at that. And same thing, how there was one seed in everyone I heard talking about the cacao was that it kind of pulls you along. It like calls on you. And that was what resonated so deeply. And so I kept going back for the ceremonies every 2 weeks. After a period of time, I started to really notice that there was my own unique calling coming through with it. Like the way in which cacao was being held, I felt was very exclusive. It was exclusive and it was reserved for a certain type of person. Like I really knew, just because like I would be having my morning cacao and I would have like my newborn baby breastfeeding and my 2-year-old and my 4-year-old, and like we would be at home all day. I couldn't guarantee I could have a half an hour of stillness. There was no guarantees when I had my cacao what way my practice would go when I have these 3 really small dependent children. So I suppose it's like I really just understood that yes, it can enhance and take you onto the spiritual path, but if it's reserved, it's missing out on a whole world of people that could absolutely benefit from it. Like the people who are just at home with their children, or the people who are just in like a really busy like work environment, or like particularly like in salon environments where there tends to be lots of unhealed like sister wounding and like a bitchy energy, you know. I thought this would be perfect in those environments because it's like giving them, I suppose it's also like it's this tool that gives permission for people to be vulnerable. So then it's not spiritual, it's human, you know. So I feel like yes, it deepens your spiritual journey, but I don't think it's reserved for those only on a spiritual journey or even seeking a spiritual journey. You know, it's a beautiful addition to the human body, which we all have, regardless of what journey we're on. So it was mostly just for me. I was like, no, I want to start waking up at sunrise and drinking cacao. So I just put a post out, and it was, you know, it just unfolded. I still often reflect and think, how did it happen? Why did I put those things together? Why was I saying that? And I can only just know for sure that I was guided by cacao, because nothing else makes sense, to be honest. As to the most common message I would receive from people is, I don't know why, and I've never done anything like this, but I feel like I really want to do it. And so I knew that was their heart and the cacao and all of that synchronicity pulling them. The reason I adore a morning routine is because it's the only time I can guarantee that the world is asking nothing from me. It's like time that I can fully be with myself without any part of me having to be a little bit like slightly alert as to something is going to come in and pull me away from this practice. It's almost like it's the guarantee that you can be alone and present with yourself. And I really value that. Well, actually we have a version of it for school mornings where I actually take my cacao in the car, and before we drive we set an intention. And because I think ceremony is a state of being. So, and because my life warrants me to believe that, you know, I do believe it. I think I get myself into a state of ceremony even when I have my cacao for the drive to school, because we have a 40-minute drive. But what was really beautiful about it was when my kids were starting school, and you know that real apprehension and nerves they have of on the way to school that they'll have to leave Mummy. And what we used to do was, this is what really taught me that ceremony was a state of being, that I would take the cacao in the car and I would have a sip and they would each have a sip. And I would say, now the cacao is with us all for today. So when we miss each other, when we're separated, when we're in our day, when we're playing with our friends and we're not together, we can feel that it's inside of our tummies now. And we can remember that we're all connected by this cacao that's within us. And they loved that so much, and it really anchored them into this feeling of like, oh yeah, we have this special thing. So I think cacao has really taught me to drop all dogma. Just you don't know. So you might see somebody drinking cacao in their car and think, oh my God, they're not using it sacredly. But their internal being is in a state of sacredness. So it just makes me drop all assumptions, all dogma, and just accept everybody for exactly where they're at. Yeah, I do love to serve it at sunrise anywhere, particularly in the forest, because I even just love the idea of them waking up at 4 a.m. and just how that just breaks everything, you know, it breaks all of our comfort, and it brings that, like, waking up at that time of the morning activates that childlike part of me that's like, it's an adventure. And then we're watching the sky get lighter on our way to have cacao, and then it's just simple. I think I like to serve cacao in a way that simplicity is at the forefront. Simplicity is always my main intention with cacao, is to not interrupt it, to not put myself in between the cacao and the person. Just let it be simple, because I think our heart is simple. And simplicity, I believe, is the way of the heart. So I like to just let it be simple and light, and let it unfold in a way that's not too serious. It just is, and whatever is perfect.